we have breaking news. Billionaire financier George Soros has been arrested and is currently being detained and interrogated at a bunker in Gastonal, Switzerland, before being extradited to the United States, where he will eventually be transported to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to face military tribunal as an enemy combatant against the United States. We are also learning that former President George W. Bush has pled guilty to many charges, including the planning and cover-up of 9/11, the cover-up of his father's activities, including violations of the RICO Act, treason, money laundering, pedophilia, and child sex trafficking, as well as the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy and the attempted assassination of former President Ronald Reagan back in 1981. Bush has pled guilty to these crimes and will be executed, but not before his complete testimony is given, including cross-examinations and several trips back to the stand to testify. So because the military tribunals are expected to last up to 2 years, the execution of former President George W. Bush will be delayed until the conclusion of these tribunals. We have also learned that former President Barack Obama is currently also at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where he has turned over several bits of information in an attempt, from what I am told, a vain attempt to be spared execution on charges of high treason. Apparently he has turned over valuable information regarding Benghazi, the 9/11 cover-up that he was also well aware of, and several other crimes, including the Fast and Furious gun-running crimes and Hillary Clinton's crimes with the email scandal and much, much more. We are understanding that Barack Obama at this point is pretty much begging for his life, begging to be spared execution. We'll tell you about that in just a few moments. All of this news is coming at a very fast pace, and we wanted to get it out to you as quickly as we possibly could. So without further ado, hang on to your hats, folks. We're about to bring you some I don't want to use the word outstanding, but if all of this is what it is supposed to be, and my sources indicate this is really happening and finally going down, justice is about to be served to some of the biggest players involved in crimes against the United States and crimes against children and humanity. The truth is about to be unsealed. Former President George W. Bush has pled guilty and evidently has agreed to be executed for his part in 9/11 crimes, according to intel coming out of the Gitmo military tribunals, which began on January 2nd, 2019. The trials are being filmed and will be released at a later date, and transcripts will be made available through us here at Truth Unsealed. George W. Bush met with President Trump and was granted the reprieve from the embarrassment of going through a trial. He agreed to turn state's evidence against the deep state and his father, former President George H.W. Bush, mainly on their 9/11 crimes, but also on violations of the RICO Act and child trafficking, in exchange for a quiet execution which will take place at the conclusion of the trials, as he may be called in several times to testify. His reputation will be allowed to remain intact. Former Presidents Bush, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton, along with Hillary Clinton and former Vice President Joe Biden, were served with indictments in envelopes slipped into their programs at Bush Sr.'s funeral on December the 5th, 2018. Reports coming in from several credible sources indicate that they are believed incarcerated in a special prison called Camp 7 at Guantanamo Bay.